Okay, this is KP4MD. We're now live on YouTube.
Thank you, KP4MD, N6EMF here. I'm going to fire up the net control for SSTV. So good evening. This is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you should need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo, Neo and Antelope.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, Joel in Florence.
KP4MD, Carolyn, Citrus Heights.
All right, well, thank you for the 3 check-ins. So far I've got down KL7HQR, Neil, thanks for checking in, and AI6DG is Joel, and KP4MD, she has control over the YouTube channel, so thank you for that, Carol, and thanks for checking in, everybody. Do we have any other check-ins? Well, all right. I think I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, and I think we've all heard enough about St. Patrick's Day for the day, so unless anyone has something fun or historical to share about that day, I'll just say happy not Thanksgiving, but St. Patrick's Day, and hello to all the YouTube watchers, the YouTube viewers out there, N6EMF. Any St. Patrick's Day. All right, well, I think we have our 3 check-ins, and what I'll do is go ahead and transmit the first photo, and so this is N6EMF here. I'm going to transmit PD 50. All right, N6EMF net control has sent the first photo for the SSTV net tonight. Want to check with Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy my photo?
Roger, Wilson. Thank you for what it looks like, either a wooden snowman or a stone Pinocchio. Yeah, it came in okay with very few artifacts, and it looks like a coconut seen from above, or a vertical cut on a tree, which seems to be more because it seems like we have a ring of bark around, and a few stones and twigs making a face. There were some grass in the background, green on the right-hand side, and more rocks on the top left. So we have good copy.
All right, well, thank you for that, Neil. I see that you got it. It's very good. Going on to AI6DG, Joel, were you able to copy the photo?
Excellent reception and copy, especially considering the mode. I guess it's amazing what you can do in 50 seconds versus 120. I do have a couple of color lines from noise pops. Blue up on upper left from in the black section. Another blue line, the shadow of the nose. I don't know if this is a trunk or sections of a trunk, but we're looking at a trunk cross section. It looks like there's a cut break kind of through the center of it from the shadow look. So maybe it's like one cut from the front and one cut from the back. Sitting on the ground, I can't tell if it's a thin section close to the ground or if it's tall. It might be tall, but we've got concentric rings from the tree growing, some lines from the cut itself, bark around the outer edge, well, some pretty thick red bark, and stones sitting on top of it for the eyes and the nose, and a couple of twigs for eyebrows, and another bigger twig for a mouth. Grass in the background, some rocks, and it's smiling. So it must be a good day for it, not the day it got cut down. Back to Net, AI6DG.
All right, very fun. Thank you, Joel. You got it. So KP4MD, Carol, were you able to copy?
Yes, Wilson. This is Carol, Kill Pop for Mike Delta. You can see on YouTube the picture that I received. I don't see hardly any of those random pixels. There's maybe a handful of them, but hard to pick out. And yeah, it looks like a cross section of a tree trunk, and it looks like you have some scoring from the saw. You can see radiating from the left side. Um, it looks like there might even be a notch like halfway through the trunk that's a little deeper than the rest of the cut, and you've got the stones for the eyes and the nose, and then some twigs for the eyebrows and the mouth. So back to net control. It's KP for MD.
All right, well, that's great. Thanks for the storytelling, and thanks for copying the photo. I think everybody got it. Basically, the story behind this is kind of a mystery. I took this photo in the summer of, I think, 2018, and this photo was taken, there's a cut-down tree in the area, in the Nimbus Lake area, or Natomas area. I was walking on my lunch break, and I said to myself when I left the office that I'm going to discover something today. I said to myself, keep your eyes open. You're going to find something interesting today. So I was looking all around, and I spotted this off the side of the American River Bike Trail where I was walking, and I couldn't help myself. So I took a photograph, and I was wondering how long it had been there, and kind of went into what is the expression on the face. I was like, well, maybe it's just the available materials. They did the best with what they had on hand, which is a pretty decent job of showing a smiley face here with a cut off a tree trunk and some rocks and some twigs and stuff like that. So that's really the only story behind it, is that I discovered something. So N6 EMF. This photograph was taken and it rotated to the left, kind of it was rotated to the side, and I tried to rotate it vertically here in the software, and it didn't. I wasn't able to adjust it properly, so that's why the black line is there on top in 6 EMF. Well, all right, that was fun. What I'll do is now turn it over to the next person, KL7HQR, Neil, if you're ready to go.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to give a very quick tone test.
Got it.
Okay. to BPD 120.
All right, Neil. Well, thank you for sending the photo. I was able to copy. I've got something with an array of pixel pops throughout the photo, kind of consistent almost where they arrive. And I see 4 different photographs inset inside the one. I like how you did that. I appreciate those. And what I can see is what looks like a hog, a black hog with a table on top of his neck, and situated in front of some kind of panel on the wall and the windows. Off to the upper right, I see what appears to be some sort of, I can't tell what they are, but something attached to the wall. What's really peculiar is that there's some crown molding along the ceiling that appears to be cut off at midsection. And so what those things are, I don't know, but they look like but possibly award placards or like trophies of some kind that are kind of fastened to the wall sideways, I guess, or maybe some other types of switches or controls or instruments. Then I see a couple of other things, is a movie theater type chairs or concert hall chairs in the lower right that are facing what appear to be maybe a desk. I think that looks fun. And then to the lower left, I can't discern. Oh, that's the other perspective of that same desk with movie theater chairs, I suppose. Maybe that's what that is, looking at that same desk from another perspective. So that's my story. And I did copy. Want to turn it over to Joel, AI6DG. Did you copy the photo that Neil sent?
Excellent reception, but definitely a few more pop previous shot. Yep, an array of 4 photos. Upper left, it looks like it's a pig statue with a small tray on his head. Is that maybe something hanging from his neck? Is this supposed to be Arnold from Green Acres and he's wearing a tie of some kind? Upper right, it's an array of 6 things on the wall, 2 and 2 and 2. They've got one on top of another on one section of wall, and then 2 on another, and 2 on another, side by side 6. And I don't know what they are. I just can't tell what the resolution is. I'm assuming there's a theme there, that there's 6 of something, but I don't know, a keyboard, a typewriter, I don't know. And then as described down below, it's a pair of movie theater chairs with not a movie theater pattern as the upholstery, I might note. And there's got to be something off the table. It looks shiny and it's metal, but is it maybe a bent surfboard? Because the one support kind of looks like a fin or something that's supporting one end of it, but it's shiny. So I think aluminum airplane. I don't know. I'd be interested what. But I'm assuming that these are another set of photos from that hotel that had the strange decor in the rooms, and this is definitely all looks strange. Back to net AI6TG.
All right. Well, nice synopsis, Joel, and well, that's pretty good. Let me turn it over to Carol, KP4MD. Did you copy the photo?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. You can all see what I copied on YouTube, and I'm just going to comment that the thing that you see in the upper left-hand corner looks like a bronze statue of a pig with some kind of a round platform on top of its head, something sitting on top of that. And in the lower right-hand corner, you see a pair of seats that look like they have the sitting cushions folded up as if they were the kind of seats you would find in a movie theater. Um, and I saw pretty much the rest of everything else the same as was commented otherwise. Back to net control. This is KP4MD.
All right, Carol. Well, thank you for that. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Neil, the owner and transmitter of the photo.
I don't know if that is a good word, but I don't know if that's a real word, but it's a good one. KL7H2R. Unfortunately, the resolution is not as good as I was hoping. I have enlarged it on my screen here. I have almost full screen. And when you do that, on the bottom right, you can see on the paper, on the white paper on the right-hand side, right after the R of HQR, you can barely read Oddfellows. So you're correct. This is a picture of our board in the Oddfellows Lodge Hotel in Chester, in Wales. And it's the final set of pictures, completing the ones that I had sent before. The interesting thing is that these pictures were taken, except for the one on the top right, those three with the pig. It's a wooden statue of the pig, and that is a place where they have their business cards for the hotel. And the bottom two, that is the check-in desk for the hotel. You come in and you sit there, and they check you in and give you the key right there. And it does look like metal, but it is a very shiny painted wood in the shape of a bent surfboard, as it was mentioned. And but as you can see, the seats are from a movie theater. On the top right, those are antique typewriters. They are just nailed or screwed, to the wall. And so this is just an example of what the whole hotel is. Now, if you put it all together, the bathtub in the middle of the open room, and the upside down dinner table hanging from the ceiling, and so this is a sample of what you see as you walk through. I just every place you went was a new surprise. But food was good, and the hotel was nice and clean, and just had fun. So back to net.
All right. Well, thank you for those photos, Neil. I like the way you laid them out. That checkerboard arrangement with the color palette really ties together nicely. And Oddfellows Hall. It's starting to make sense now. I can't imagine getting into a hotel and then flipping open one of those chairs and sitting down. It looks pretty comfortable, though. I can imagine coming in from a long train trip or a flight and just being really tired and wanting a place to sit down in a nice, cushy chair, and that looks like a really decent spot to sit down when you're coming into a hotel late in the day or something like that. So, any other comments or questions for Neil? Well, all right. The typewriter on the wall thing gave me an idea, so be on the lookout for one of those in an upcoming net. Let me turn it over to Joel, AI6DG. If you're ready to transmit a photo, you can be up next.
PD 120.
All right, Joel, it's N6NA here. I was able to copy a photograph and shows a gentleman sitting on top of a boulder, maybe, in on a peak of a hill, maybe in a canyon, and I can't tell whether it's you or not, but this person has a short sleeve shirt and a fisherman's hat, a pair of glasses, and a good smile. So is that our friend Joel? I'm guessing it might be, but I can't tell with the hat, and looks like a happy guy. N6NA. Let's see, I'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Roger, KL7HQR. Very good copy, very, very few artifacts. Resolution of the photo itself seems to be not quite perfect, but the copy was good. Yes, it looks like it's interesting because when you look, I agree with you. The person sitting in there on a boulder and a big rock, and behind what is a big canyon, a very narrow passageway. And it's interesting because depending on how you look, what perspective you look at, you could be looking at a waterfall coming, from at a distance with the waterfall kind of falling down. From another perspective, you could be looking at a little creek, that's coming up from a higher elevation coming down, that is just winding down. So very interesting. A very narrow canyon, as you said, quite a few green trees on the bottom right-hand side, focusing towards the center, and on the left-hand side, and a little bit of sky up in the distance, but very impressive rocks. Back to Matt.
Yeah, very good. I can't tell if there's water flowing in the background, but definitely something there. Carol, KP4MD. Thanks, Neil. KP4MD, were you able to copy the photo that AI6DG has sent?
Yeah, I think you turned it over to me. This is Carol, KP4MD. I'm seeing what looks that looks just like you, Joel. I think that's either a selfie you took on time delay or a companion of yours was with you and took that picture of you. Very nice with the backdrop of the craggy mountain there and what looks like perhaps a stream coming down through the little valley there between the left, the mountains on the left and the right. So back to net controls, KP for MD.
All right, well, thank you for that. I think the reason why I don't recognize Joel then is because it's out of context. The only time I've ever seen Joel is in with a boom over his head, not a fisherman's hat, and at an office chair in a computer or an office environment. So this is a new setting and a new context for me in seeing Joel. So I hope we get it right. All right. Well, Joel, you want to go ahead and tell us what your photo is about?
Yep, that's me. And as you might guess, this is in Yosemite. And the hat is to keep my nose from getting burned to smithereens. I don't tan, I burn. And I don't usually get photos of myself, but every once in a while I'm someplace and someone offers to take a photo of me, and I usually take them up on it, just so that I occasionally get a photo. This isn't a very good one of me, because the original, and I'm kind of disappointed on the image quality that I'm seeing on the YouTube from this. Obviously there was a lot of resolution or photo detail loss. I'm not sure where or how. Oh geez, I lost track of what I was. This is at Sierra Point in Yosemite. This is an abandoned trail, actually. Most of the trail is in excellent condition. Finding it, though, at the very beginning is very difficult. But almost every time I go up there, I meet other people or see signs that people have been there recently. So for being an abandoned, unknown trail, there's an awful lot of people that know about it. This is looking at Illilouette Falls in the background, and the cascade coming down from Illilouette Falls. And it's definitely a cascade, very steep, probably 30 or 40 degree slope down, and the boulders in that canyon are the size of cars and houses. So it's a long ways, well, not a long ways away, but it's definitely not close. This is a really nice photo because it's being that narrow of a canyon, it's lit like this for a very short period of time each day and only in summer. And you can kind of see at the very top of the falls coming down and mist going off to the right, so it's very pretty. And this trail is an offshoot right at the very beginning of John Muir Trail up to Nevada and Vernal Falls. And I'm sitting actually right just beyond me, behind me, is a cliff that goes down a few hundred feet. So I'm not going to lean back too far. And one interesting thing about this Sierra Point is it's the only place in the park where you can see four major waterfalls at the same time. You've got Illilouette Falls behind me, Nevada and Vernal Falls to the right, and to the left. And to the right, you're looking down Merced Canyon across Yosemite Valley at Yosemite Falls itself. One of the hidden gems in Yosemite. Back to net AI6DG.
Yeah, these are some really interesting and beautiful landscape photos, and you look great out there. So keep up the good work. you've inspired me so many times on some of these expeditions, and I'm wondering, I asked you before if you've ever operated soda on some of these missions, and I don't think you said whether you did, but I was curious. There's something in the FCC rules that you have to file an environmental impact if you're going to operate a station in a national park. Is that accurate, or is there anyone here is willing to say about that?
I'm holding off, hoping Carol would jump in. I haven't been to Yosemite in a few years, and I'm usually there for photo trips. I've not really done ham trips yet, and I didn't have the KX2 back then. What you're describing, I've heard. I'm not sure how picky they are on. I think the main thing is they don't want you to disturb the visitor experience nor damage the environment. But Carol, do you have more?
No, I don't have anything else. And as a matter of fact, I think you're the expert on outdoor stuff, Joel, because I have no knowledge of that over.
All right. Well, thanks for the dialogue on that. I was just curious. I know I don't want to go off, but I know that folks are doing parks on the air and that kind of stuff. Just curious, what that really looks like. Maybe as long as there's not a complaint or any disruption of the ecosystem or leaving stuff behind is not a problem. But anyway, thanks for the discussion on that. And any other points on Joel's photo? Sierra Point, Illilouette Fall. So thank you. I don't know if I missed anything. Was that you, Joel?
Yeah, maybe I'm quick keying the foot pedal. I'm not sure I got that all out. It wouldn't surprise me that it depends on the ranger and the park, but in particular you and how you've set up. I mean, if you've done a light setup where you're all tripods and you're doing like minor wire antennas or maybe even some vertical just to sit on the ground, and you're not a big eyesore and you're not impacting other visitors, I'm sure you can get away with a lot more than you would if you were there with like a tower trailer and you were driving stakes into the ground and putting up 50-foot towers. And the first thing I would say is to be low key. Back to Net AI6TG.
All right, well, thank you for that. Okay, so, Carol, KP4MD, if you're ready to transmit a photo, go right ahead.
Yeah, very good. This is KP4MD. Yeah, the only thing I would add to what Joel says was don't drill holes in the trees, don't torture the animals, and don't do any strip mining. Uh, Essentially, although those are the extreme cases, but you just don't want to have a negative impact on the environment. And definitely you don't want to disturb other people and be a nuisance. I think if you do that, there should not be a problem. Yet, I guess there was a problem with tying ropes to trees and stuff because it might damage the bark. So that would be another issue, putting up antennas. Would you have anything else to say about that, Joel? Over.
I don't think anybody heard what you had. I didn't copy anything from you, Joel.
Sorry, I'm eating dinner and I'm on headset with the boom mic, and when I move the boom mic up to talk, it mutes me. Structures, making structures. So a tripod that you just sit on the ground, you're getting to get away with. If you're erecting something, like maybe even as little as a mast with guys. I mean, you got multiple things there. It's semi-permanent. You're putting stakes into the ground. So the ideal would be everything with tripods or things that are obviously a temporary, very temporary.
All right, well, thanks, Carol and Joel, for discussion on that. And that's all I had. Neil, did you have any aspect of this you want to comment on or question?
No, I'm learning, and I think the other alternative would be to operate mobile from the vehicle, I guess.
All right, very good. Net Control turns it over to KP4MD. Carol, if you're ready to send a photo, go right ahead.
Okay, very good. Yeah, as far as I know, there's not a problem with like shooting a wire up into a tree, but they do have issues with tying anything that puts any friction on the bark of the tree could cause some damage. Okay, this is going to be a picture PD120. Uh, let me load it here.
All right, KP4MD, Carol sends a photograph, and I was able to copy quite readily. And I can see the photograph, which is a printed circuit board with a copper foil side exposed on top, sitting on top of graph paper. Looks like some old style TO220 style transistor cans, 3 of them. Sort of situated, I guess TO220s maybe, situated with some R, some resistors and capacitors. I can't quite tell what it is, but 3 different wire leads coming off the board, a 12-volt marker, output marker, and a ground marker somewhere on the circuit board, and I can't quite tell what it is. But if I look at the basic arrangement of this, I would guess that it's some kind of line driver or a basic voltage or current follower type network. Just my wild idea, thinking out loud. We'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Did you copy the photo?
N6NA SSTV. Yes, extremely good copy. I think I can count to my in the 4 or 5 of the specs of the artifacts. Very good and very detailed to the point that you can see some of the color coding on the resistors. And I think, if I remember, this could be the 3 transistors amplifier for the N6NA that Carol mentioned and sent the schematic out. And if it is, I'd be interested in knowing how it is going. This is definitely a prototype of that. And let's see if my guess is correct, and wonder what the results were. Back to that.
I think you're driving us closer, Neil. Thank you for that. AI6DG, Joel, did you copy? All right, Joel. Well, I was checking in with you to see if you were able to copy the photo, but sounds like I didn't hear any audio from your end. The repeater was picked up for a good 60 seconds, but maybe didn't hear anything from you. Did you copy the photo?
I did it again. And now the boom mic's down. Now you hear me. Okay, so excellent reception. A few noise pops, not bad. I see a copper circuit board. Looks like breadboard construction. So we've got lines of the copper cut out to form pads, and then components soldered onto those pads to form the circuit. We've got 3 transistors, 4 resistors, a couple of tantalum or other similar style capacitors up on top. There's 3 wires going to various pads on the circuit board, and there's a label for out, for ground, for plus 12. I don't really see that those wires are going to those, well, out I see, ground I see, don't see a plus 12 or an in for that matter, although it's possible that in is right above the blue capacitor, because I can kind of see the very bottom of some letters, some black labeling. So I'm thinking there's an in that in might be, okay, in is that red wire, black is the ground, the violet or whatever shade that is the out. I just don't see the plus 12 anywhere, but it's got to be there, wouldn't work. And it's logical that this would be a power amp for the N6NA, but I'll wait for Carol. Back to AI6DG.
All right, we're getting closer. Thank you for that, Joel. And yeah, so tell us real quickly, what is it you're having for dinner, or what did you have?
Pie pizza I picked up on the way home. Yum, with everything on it.
Oh, that's great. You know, I love this thing from Pizza Guys called the Meat Lover's Treat, I think it's called, or the Meat Lover's Pizza. It's just all about sausage and that kind of stuff, and bacon bits. It's just incredibly delicious. But pretty oily, so you got to be careful. But okay, Carol, KP4MD, please tell us about your circuit board, N6EMF, net control here.
Okay, yeah, this is Carol, KP4MG. First of all, I want to congratulate you, Joel, on having pizza for St. Patrick's Day. I hope you don't get pitched for not having corned beef and cabbage, which I had for dinner. Met with some friends just before the Nets tonight, and we decided to go ahead and do that. Anyway, yeah, this you guys hit it right on the nose. This is called the complementary symmetry push-pull amplifier that we're using to raise the drive on the IRF 510. The Tunitin S transmitter takes the output from an SI 5351 synthesizer, which is 3 volts square wave. And what this amplifier does is it raises the amplitude of the square wave to 12 volts. It's 12 volts peak to peak. And there are actually 4 wires here. It's hard to see the 4th wire, but it's actually running underneath that brown wire. The brown wire goes up to the in connection there, right by the blue disc capacitor. And underneath it, you might just be able to see a little bit of it. It's that's the plus 12 wire that's underneath there. The resistors are there's a 3.3 K resistor on the top right, and then to the left of that is a 100K resistor. You can see brown, black, yellow, and above that is the 3.3K. Let me see. No, that's 330 ohms. That's orange, orange, brown. Yeah, the other one is orange, orange, red. The 3.3K. That's the one on the right. And there's a 2N2709 PNP transistor directly below the blue capacitor. And the other 2 transistors there over towards the left are a complementary pair of PNP NPN. There's a 2N2222 and a 2N2907, which are they're complementary and equivalent transistors, PNP NPN. And then the output is taken through that 4.7 ohm resistor that's going to the output pad. And this was actually built by Phil, KD6RM. He likes to do this construction where he scores the lines on the copper-clad board, and then he cuts out with an X-Acto knife the little copper between the pads there, and he solders directly to the pads. There's a problem with this particular build, and the thing is that it is connected to the transmitter through some rather long hookup wire. The hookup wire in itself has a certain amount of inductance. Yeah, I actually didn't speak for them to see how long those wires were, but if you imagine they were like 6 inches long, then going into the transmitter board, each of those wires would add like about 100 nanohenries of inductance. And in addition to that, you're going to have some stray capacitance between the input and the output wires because they're not shielded. And that would be maybe a few picofarads. The problem that he found out when he connected this and tried to run it was he was having some high frequency oscillations and a lot of instability. So I did model it with the parasitic inductance and capacitance, and LT Spice did predict that there was going to be oscillation in this thing. It really needs to be mounted very, very close to the transmitter circuit with very direct connections to minimize all of that stray inductance and capacitance. That's one of the problems with any high gain amplifier. If you're not careful with the layout, those little pieces of hookup wire could be significant show a significant impedance and cause instability in an amplifier and cause it to become an oscillator. So at least we have something that we possibly could fit into an empty space over the board and make the connections directly to the printed circuit board with some wires that go through it. That's what I'm thinking would be the next step in order to try this. But yeah, he said it was oscillating quite badly, and it was the IRF 510 was drawing a lot of current. It was like almost going to burn up because of this. So that was the issue. Also, these I'm going to drop in just a moment. Also, these are actually miniature metal cans. They're a TO18 type case. The TO220 is the plastic transistor with the metal tab. That's the case that the IRF 510 comes in. And if you're familiar with the old, uh, larger round transistors that look like this, but they're a little bit larger, those are the TO5, like the 2N3053s come in the TO5 case, which are they're a bit larger. But these small TO18s are the kinds that you used to see in the Japanese transistor radios. Very commonly, they would use these in there. So back to net control. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta.
Wow, this is quite a journey you're on right now, and I could really appreciate it. I've been trying to follow what you've been doing, and you know, participated or at least tried to mimic the modeling that you had done early on. And I really wanted to get back to it, but it's been so crazy for me. But I'm monitoring this progress, and it's very fascinating, very interesting to me. So I appreciate all the work that's being done on it between you and Phil. Keep up the good work. You probably don't need to hear that from me because you've got a lot more experience with this stuff, but I'm really impressed by it and encouraged by it. So it looks really good. I think you'll figure it out one way or the other, even if you have to go 3D with the arrangement of the components in that section of the board you're proposing to put it in. So with that, I'm going to be fair, turn it over to Neil and see if he had any comments or questions. Go ahead, Neil.
No, it's Kel 7HQR. No, like you, I'm just listening, and I appreciate Carol sharing so much information between her and Bob and Phil. We have quite an amount of knowledge that those of us that have been away for a while are just kind of. I think I heard the saying at NASA, somebody saying how difficult it is to go through the astronaut training. It's just like trying to drink water out of the fire hydrant, you know. And sometimes I feel the same way among you guys. So thanks, appreciate it, Carol. And looking forward to seeing the end result of this. I still haven't put my Tunitin on the air yet. I'm still making a cable to connect to the receiver, but hopefully in 1 week we'll be giving it a try. Thanks again. Good net. Good night. Good night. Good net, guys. Appreciate. Back to net.
All right. Thanks for that, Neil. Very good stuff. Carol, the question for you, I'll let you contemplate. Don't necessarily need an answer or a response tonight. We'll see how much time is remaining. But in my world, I work in a high voltage electric utility environment, and we deal with these kinds of problems on a steady state 60 hertz basis using series compensation. And it's amazing how many parallels there are between RF and 60 hertz power systems. But what about using some series capacitance in line with these long lines or long leads to help compensate or bring them back in line? Something to think about. I was wondering if that works on RF. Maybe don't have enough experience here to know the answer to that, but I figured you might. That could add to stability problems and other problems. But turning it over to Joel, AI6DG, did you have any follow-up questions or comments?
I was kind of wondering what the output impedance of the driver is and the input on this, because if they were the same impedance, or if there was a way to easily match it, you could use a transmission line of some kind that would be more resistant to some of the issues you're describing. Although I'm not sure if you get that fancy with HF circuits like this.
All right, Joel, was that over for you?
Did you get my question?
Oh yeah, I did. I heard you drop in a manner that made me wonder if you were done with your transmission.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Joel. All right, so back to Carol, KP4MD. Did you want to make an attempt at any follow-up points?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Well, one of the things you could do to minimize the coupling between the output and the input would be to use lengths of coaxial cable, like little RG174U, and that would get rid of that problem of the stray capacitive coupling between the input and output that would uh, lead to the oscillation. But the other thing you were talking about was the inductance, and putting capacitance in series with it would not work. Essentially, what happens at RF is any length of wire, uh, like 6 inches or so, which I imagine this is, actually also acts as an antenna, and it's going to radiate RF and receive RF. So there's going to be coupling between the different wires. Even the ground wire, that uh, black wire that goes to the ground of that circuit board. The other side of that is connected to the ground of the Tunitin circuit board. But since it's got a amount of inductance inherent in it, it's also going to work as an antenna. So what you really have to do with this kind of circuits is mount this board really practically on top of the other board, and have very short connections, like a little, some wires. The more wires, the better, actually, uh, of like 1 centimeter long or less, uh, from the ground on this board to the ground on the other board, to eliminate that problem of the inductance and the radiation from those wires. Back to net control.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So thanks for sharing that piece of information. So this could go on all night, I suppose, but I think that we'll be following this topic, some of us very carefully and closely, and I'm certainly interested in this one. So thank you, Carol. I'm going to gesture towards expressing appreciation to the YouTube viewers out there, and to Carol for running the YouTube channel and keeping those folks going. So thanks for the YouTube viewers, and I'm getting ready to close out the net. Any last questions or comments?
AI60.
Go ahead, Joel, N6NA.
Wasn't on purpose, but to cover me for St. Patrick's Day, there is green pepper on the pizza.
Hey, you could always find a dollar bill too, and fold it into the shape of a bow tie and somehow arrange it as a bow tie. That would be fun. Anyway, nice work. Okay, so I want to say thanks to all who participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. This net is officially closed at 9:58 p.m. local time, which is Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening. Thanks for a great time. N6EMF 73.